you very much. Thank you very much. Great to be with you again. Great to be with you again. It's Thursday night. It's going to be a lot of fun. We've got a lot of good stuff to talk about. We've got a lot playing out to talk about. And, unfortunately, we've got some, sad things to talk about. Well, let's first go to, today let's talk about, we might as well just talk about some of the bad stuff. We had several big channels go down today on YouTube. I started hearing about it, and I was saying, I don't know. I got to check. I got to make sure. Some of the channels that Cynthia listens to have been apparently taken down. X22 report looks like it's taken down. Cynthia didn't really listen to Amazing Polly much, but it appears like she's gone. Space Shot is gone. And there are some others. SGT report gone. And it's very, very sad. Again, I didn't listen to any of those channels, but it's very sad that not Facebook, but YouTube, which of course is Google, has just arbitrarily taken a lot of these channels off the line. And you have to understand that's somebody losing their job in this situation that we're in, just losing their job. Tracy saying it's not like they didn't know they were coming. Well, I don't know. Still, it's a bad thing. It's a sad thing. And it's very, very suspicious. And when you think about it, this the crazy lady that was doing the town hall with President Trump, and she mentioned it. What do you think of what we're not going to talk about? The PR read between the lines phenomenon. And he did not disavow it, but it seems like it is a coordinated activity, that it's a coordinated thing. And we share our condolences for the folks that lost their subscribers. Somebody says Edge of Wonder is gone. I haven't seen Edge of Wonder. Is it really gone? Somebody confirm that for me. I don't want to confirm it right now. Edge of Wonder gone. That's very, very bad. And it's only because they were talking about a certain subject that YouTube decided they didn't want them to talk about anymore. And we're not going to talk about that subject. If you mention that subject, it's automatic bye-bye, because we just can't do it. And if you talk about Fight Club, they said you'd be taken down. So the number one rule of Fight Club, ladies and gentlemen, that's what we're going to call it, Fight Club. The number one rule of Fight Club, thank you, Tracy. The number one rule of Fight Club is don't talk about Fight Club. And here at this channel, you cannot talk about Fight Club. You just can't. And if you try to talk about Fight Club, well, then we're going to not listen to you. You can't talk about Fight Club. Boom. That's where we're going to leave it. And since we are talking about this, let's look at the good news for a change. This is a daily feature on JeffreyDaugherty.com. You see that coming up on your screen right now, the JeffreyDaugherty.com. And it is something that's there every day, and it's there because we live in a world that doesn't have enough good news. And we live in a world where people are drawn to bad news. All they focus on is bad news. And we're here to give you a choice. I've had people tell me that this little thing that I do every day has made the difference in them choosing to remain in this world. And when someone tells you that, you know the importance of it. So you just go to JeffreyDaugherty.com. You click on the good news tab, and then you click on the day, like today's 10:15, and you're going to get good news. I didn't get a lot of good news done today because I was very, very busy. But one of these items of good news talks about exactly what we're talking about. And Judge Clarence Thomas suggests that the 230 immunities are applied too broadly to tech companies. And this is what we're talking about right now with people being deplatformed. And that's what it is. They're being deplatformed, which is a Antifa communist agenda. And we'll talk about that. Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas suggested in a statement on Tuesday that some legal immunities granted to internet platforms under Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act should be narrowed or eliminated. That means that they would lose billions and billions and billions of dollars. Just real quickly, Section 230 grants internet platforms immunity from prosecution if a third party uploads defamatory or otherwise illegal content. So you understand what's happening? They are shutting people down because they're saying, oh, it's inflammatory content, but they have no liability for it. So they're not doing it because they're trying to protect from liability. They're doing it because they don't like the content, and they get to decide what is defamatory. They get to decide what is otherwise illegal. So they have protections under the law, and that allows them to make billions and billions of dollars. If those protections were removed from them, they would lose billions and billions of dollars. And President Trump has been waiting for the right time to fire off an executive order that will do just this. And Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas has suggested in this talk that it would, in fact, need to be looked at. And in other news, the FCC chairman, Pai, P-A-I, Pay or Pai, says that he'll revisit the social media law to clarify the meaning. The FCC commissioner, Ajit Pai, says his agency will move forward with a rulemaking to clarify Section 230, the liability shield that applies to social media / internet companies. This comes with widespread controversy, not only of people being deplatformed, but the political football story on Hunter Biden. It's a political football being kicked back and forth. Today's debate was predated by President Trump in his pressure on the administration to revisit the legal protections, and members of all three branches of the federal government have expressed serious concerns about the prevailing interpretation set forth in Section 230 of the Communications Act. And social media companies are restricting the rights of Americans to have free speech, and they do not have a First Amendment right, these companies, to deny other people their First Amendment rights. So this is going to be revisited by the federal communication chairman. And would you rather have it being visited by the federal communication chairman from President Donald Trump, or from, if God forbid, I won't even say the words, if Joe Biden was reelected? So in one hand, ladies and gentlemen, it is a legal argument. On one hand, it's a legal argument that the social media companies are only, and they're just using it to censor conservative-oriented content, only conservative-oriented content. And right now, it was, based about Fight Club. So they're specifically targeting conservative-oriented content while allowing liberal-oriented content to go along. And that is wrong, and the federal government is in on it. Yeah, the federal government is on it. I mean, it is on it. But there's more to this, folks. I went through the Antifa handbook with you. It's on this channel. And we read straight from the Antifa handbook from what Antifa themselves says, ladies and gentlemen. And one of the things that they're doing to us is it's called deplatforming. If you're out on the street and you're having a Trump rally, they will shout you down. They will make it impossible for you to be heard. That's called deplatforming. And if you're on YouTube and you're talking about things, they seek to deplatform as well. And now you have the entity, in this case being YouTube, that is actually providing the platform, is in the business of deplatforming. And that is as wrong as it can be. And I don't want to spend a lot of time on the debate. We want to get right into your calls. And it wasn't supposed to be a debate. It was supposed to be a town hall. Have you ever seen a moderator of a town hall act like such an ass in all your lives? That to talk to the president of the United States the way that little info babe talked to President Donald Trump is disgraceful. We've never seen that happen before. It was never done to President Obama. It was never done to President Clinton. It was never done to President Carter. They treat him in a way that is completely disrespectful to the president of the United States. And Joe Biden has the audacity to mumble out that Donald Trump acts unpresidential. They don't like Donald Trump. We love Donald Trump. We're going to vote for Donald Trump on November 3rd. But he said something very interesting tonight when the info babe, and yeah, I'm being disrespectful to her because she was disrespectful to my president. The info babe was asking President Trump why he changed his mind about, he said when Obama was the president that they shouldn't nominate a Supreme Court justice in the last year of Obama's administration. And she said to him, well, now that you're in charge, you say go ahead and do it, and do it really in the last month. And they are doing it. She will be confirmed next Thursday. She will be confirmed. But what President Trump said was very, very, very revealing to me. President Trump said, I got to tell you, after what they did to Brett Kavanaugh, after the way they savaged him, after the way they went after him personally, after the way they sought to literally destroy the man's life, President Trump said, the game has changed. President Trump said the game has changed. And what he means by that is the gloves are off, just like he said to Joe Biden when they said those horrible things, made up those horrible lies about what President Trump said at the military graveyard. He said the gloves are off, and I'm really going to go after James. I'm really going to go after Joe Biden. And I'm telling you, once November 4 comes and our great president has won re-election, you are about to see Trump unleashed coming to a theater near you on November 4th. Debuting on November 4th, Trump unleashed. He won't need the limbs anymore. He won't need the evangelicals anymore. He can't be voted in again. He won't need anybody. He doesn't have to play any political games anymore. And he'll be able to be Trump unleashed, coming to a theater near you starting November 4th. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the good news of the day. I can't wait for Trump unleashed. Already can't wait for Trump unleashed. And many of you, of course, can't wait for Trump unleashed. So with no further ado, I have opened up the phone line, and you can clearly see, I don't think I have to share the screen because I've actually mic'd the computer where the sound comes out. I guess you'd call that the speaker, right? And we've mic'd that. The call-in number is 913-279-0831. And because we provide a call-in number for you at my expense that you can call in on, we do not allow you to troll, to debate, or to continue to state negative opinions within the chat room. You can say one time, hey, I don't like that, but you have to get off of it right away. And if you don't, then we will first remove your comment, then we'll put you on a 5-minute timeout, and then we'll simply remove your ability to comment on this channel. And folks, if you call in, you cannot listen to yourself talk to me live. You just can't. You've got to turn down your device. And if you don't turn down your device, I'm going to start to be very picky on that. If you don't turn down your device, I'm going to end your call, because it is very, very disrespectful to the rest of the callers and to your host to try to make me listen to you not doing what we've politely asked you to do. So turn down your device, or your call is probably, it depends on how you catch me. And sometimes you never know. I'm fasting now, day like 26 or so. What day is it? 21, 22, 23, 24, going into day 25. You never know. It's hit and miss. It's hit and miss. So, ladies and gentlemen, 2 rules: be polite, be interesting, and rule number 3, don't poke the bear. Turn your device down and you get to listen to me in your phone, talk to you, but you can't listen to you talk to me or me talk to you live on the air. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're trying to be professional and we're trying to get to it. And we love you so much. We appreciate you calling in. It's funny that the trolls never do, but okay, here we go. Let's see what we got here. Tell me how the sound is on this one. It is late night in the heartland, and you're live with Jeffrey Daugherty.
Hey, Jeff, it's Chuck. What's happening, man?
Hey, Chuck, how are you doing, my friend? It's so nice to hear from you.
Good to hear from you. I just missed a couple of the live chats, so I caught up a little bit, but I'm doing better, man. I got an arthritis medication prescribed to me today, so I'm doing better, a lot better.
I'm glad to hear that. I didn't realize that you were going through that, but we certainly don't want you to be debilitated in your ability to continue to provide great music to make the world go around a little bit better and with a little bit more joy. So I'm glad you got the arthritis medicine. What other thoughts or comments do you have for us regarding something that's going on today or something completely off subject? You get to make up the topics when you call in.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. Well, I was kind of taking some notes, listening to the one from last night that I missed.
Okay.
And you know, as a pastor, you've said it many times, faith without works is dead, as in the dead religion, but knowledge without logic is ignorance. It's dead as well. If you don't follow the logic, it doesn't matter how much knowledge you think you have. If it's the wrong knowledge, you're down the wrong path. You're already screwed. I mean, there's no coming back if you don't have the logic to back up the knowledge you believe that you have.
Right. And sometimes, Chuck, we've got this thing now in the so-called truth movement that, you know, the fluffy bunnies in the new age say, well, it's just my truth. And that's the end of it. And now we've got these fluffy bunnies here in the conservative movement. My convictions are not subject to debate. My beliefs are not subject to debate. That's just a fluffy bunny statement. And that means that you've stopped being a real truther. You've stopped pursuing truth. And we can't be that and call ourselves a truther.
Exactly. You fall apart from that resonance that you preach to resonate within, and you don't. You're outside that resonance completely.
You are. And we need, I think, as consumers of YouTube content, we need to hold the providers to a higher standard. And the way we hold them to a higher standard is to simply not listen to or watch their videos if they won't act with integrity.
Exactly.
So,
and it all kind of go ahead.
Why don't more people do that? Why do some of these channels that have no integrity, they've already decided what they believe, they won't subject themselves to peer review? Why do people continue to flock to their channels and pay these people big money through their patronage to YouTube?
Because they're utilizing it as a crutch, just like any other opiate of the masses.
Wow.
Religion is a term of indoctrination, so is that. It's very simple.
So even people that claim to be in the truth movement still have crutches.
It depends. I mean, it depends on where you're getting your truth from. I mean, there's opinion which is misguided as truth.
Right. Your truth. You're entitled to your truth, but your truth may not be the real truth.
That's still an opinion.
Yep. Your truth may not be the truth.
Exactly.
And it probably isn't.
This comes from someone who I know you not really one of the psychedelic fans, or I don't know how many psychedelic fans we have out there, but I've been doing psychedelics since I was 16 years old. You know, so y'all were talking about different dimensions. You had a caller that called in talking about the race and whatnot between what you were talking about and young Pharaoh.
Yep.
But he had mentioned some things that kind of resonated with me from many different psychedelics over the years that I've taken, which DMT is one which I'm sure you've heard of.
I have.
And it's produced by your pineal gland. It occurs when you're born, when you die, which, you know, I died, and every night when you dream. And some say that it guides the consciousness that we reside in, this frequency.
Huh, that's interesting.
First-hand experience from it. I have actually vaporized it and gone into another dimension, which is completely outside of any realm of thought, any construct that we can fathom, because you're talking 4, 5, 6, 7 dimensions, things, the colors that don't exist, shapes that aren't possible. It's incomprehensible.
That's what they tell me.
Yeah, it's mind shattering if it hasn't already been. If you haven't experienced the ego death, then you couldn't fathom what it would be like. I can't describe it. The best representation I could give you would be poor in regards to how it feels to actually blast off. Anyway, it's something that I feel like it's just a shortcut to the divine in a way, and I feel like depending on setting and who you're around when you do it. I'm not advocating these substances. I'm just saying from personal experience. I know that this light spectrum takes up an inch of a meter of what's the entire light spectrum. The visible light takes up an inch of an entire yard. So there's frequencies outside which we can see. There's infrared, ultraviolet, etc. But we reside in a very small range of that frequency. And it's important to remember that we're not alone, not outside this world, but like superimposed over this realm. There are other dimensions that you can tap into. Without that, you can meditate. They gave LSD to monks, and they were like, "This is no big deal. We just close our eyes, meditate, and do this stuff. This is nothing to us. We did this on a daily basis. LSD is just trash to us." They were already in that frequency.
Very, very
it's interesting. It's a shortcut. So I've taken many shortcuts to get to where, I've been unindoctrinated for 20, 21 years now. So part of that journey was already over before I started with the psychedelic journey that I took. And those days are gone. They're behind me. I utilized them for what they were worth, and they served their purpose.
Good. Chuck, that's fascinating. Thanks for sharing that with us. Do you have anything else to wrap up your call? We got some people waiting.
Yeah, man, that's it. I appreciate you taking time out for me, man.
Chuck, always appreciate it. Don't hesitate to call back if you like. I hope that we'll hear from you again soon. Thanks so much.
Thanks.
And we're going to get right on here to the next caller on hold. Thank you for holding. This is Late Night in the Heartland, and you're live with Jeffrey Daugherty.
How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you tonight?
I'm doing good, but I'm a little less optimistic about Donald Trump. Listening to your show, you seem to think that he's going to unleash this wrath against the system, that QAnon is a fraud.
We're not saying that word. We're not going to say that word.
Okay, I won't say that. But what I think that is happening is that we are pushing toward one world government, and I think Trump is just, if he gets elected, we'll just keep moving forward.
Are you a Christian?
Yes, I am. I absolutely am.
And you believe in the book of Revelation?
Yes, I do. I believe in the mark of the beast and what's going to happen, and the whole yes, I do. Absolutely.
Okay, well, stay with me here for a second. If you believe in the book of Revelation, and if you are a Christian, then I'm assuming that you've read it. And, being a pastor for 20 years, an evangelist for 20 years, the end of the book of Revelation is one world government, one world religion, by one world ruler from Jerusalem with a rod of iron. How is that any different from the things that you're fearing?
Well, the biggest fear that I have, sir, is that I've been deceived in the past.
No, let's stay on this point. Let's stay on this point. If you say you're afraid, don't want a one world government, and you don't want a one world ruler, and you don't want a one world religion, then why are you such a devoted Christian when that's what Christianity tells us is coming?
Well, do you believe that that's the right type of government we should live under, as a one world government?
No, I don't.
Okay, I don't either. But what makes you think that Trump is the savior when
you're avoiding my question? Your Bible says that's the way it's going to be. And if you're afraid of Trump bringing it in, then why aren't you afraid of Jesus bringing it in?
No, you're right. In other words, this has to pass. You're absolutely right. No matter who gets elected, this will pass. But I guess what I'm saying is that do you feel that Trump is working for the people, or is this just inevitable? We're going to be dealing with this.
Well, again, I think you're dodging my question, but we'll let it go because the Bible says ultimately it ends up with a one world government, a one world ruler, one world religion from Jerusalem with an iron rod. And that sounds to me like most Christians are against all of those things, but they've somehow allowed that fact to escape them. To President Trump, you know, I've met Donald Trump. I've shook his hand. I've talked to him for 10 or 15 minutes. I personally think that he is a good guy. When he started running for president, I figured that he was probably just trying to raise his speaker fees, trying to get more money for The Apprentice. He came down the escalator. I thought, okay, this is a good show. His speech, the opening speech, was a good one, but I realized that he still owed $1 billion to the interest that I call Limish because I don't want to get in trouble and get kicked off of YouTube. And then I was watching and I'm like, maybe this guy's for real. And the moment that my mind changed in regards to Donald Trump was the moment in the Republican debates when low energy Jeb Bush, in one of his few high energy moments, said with great pride and pounded on his podium, my brother kept us safe during his watch. And Donald Trump leaned forward and said into the microphone, 9/11 happened on your brother's watch. I don't call that keeping America safe. And at that instance, I knew that he was not part of not only the Republican cabal, but the deep state cabal, because he was calling them out. And then the next debate, he's talking with, I don't know if it was the next debate, but one of the debates where Ben Carson was still in, he and Ben Carson said, vaccines are a leading cause of autism. We have to look at those. This is a guy running for president of the United States. And since he got into office, his first executive order was that if someone is found to be complicit with human trafficking or child trafficking, that the United States government can seize all their assets. And if you sit down and objectively read all of the executive orders from number 1 to where he is right now and watch and do exactly what President Trump has done, you have to conclude that he is working for the people. And just let me wrap it up with this, and I'll let you finish. Also, Donald Trump brought in all of the Limish banksters that he owed $1 billion to personally. And he said to them, all right, boys, you guys have wanted Jerusalem recognized as the capital forever. All of your trillions can't buy it. I got a deal for you. You've wanted the Golan Heights. I got a deal for you. You've wanted the embassy in Jerusalem. I got a deal for you. I'll give you all 3 of those things that your trillions can't buy and have never been able to buy. But my $1 billion loan goes bye-bye. And from that moment, Donald Trump has been free and clear to navigate. And forget your personal feelings about Donald Trump and forget what your favorite guru on YouTube is saying about Donald Trump. Judge him for his actions, and his actions are those of a patriot. And wait until November 4th when he doesn't have to kowtow to the evangelical Christians anymore. No offense intended. When he doesn't have to kowtow to the limbs anymore, and when he can do what he really wants to do without having to worry about ever getting reelected again, you're about to see Trump unleashed. And yes, I support President Trump because of what he's done and what he's doing. You have the floor.
Okay. He hasn't talked about, now obviously he canceled the second debate. They haven't mentioned
No. He did not cancel the second debate. He did not. They were supposed to have a debate, and then they said, we're going to make it virtual. And President Trump said, no, I'm not doing a virtual debate. They changed the rules. He said, no, I'll do it in person. Joe says, no, I'm not going to do it in person. So he did not cancel the second debate.
Okay, I'm looking for several key things that he needs to convince the people. Restoring First, Second, and Fifth Amendment rights. Those are under major attack right now, and nobody's talking about the First, Second, and Fifth Amendment. And those are huge. You know, the right to bear arms, the right to free speech and assembly, the right to not self-incriminate yourself.
You don't think President Trump is supporting the Second Amendment?
I think he's maintaining it right now, but the thing that is that if he gets reelected, that has to be maintained because there's a lot of fear that the Democrats are going to try to thwart that.
There's no fear. They will. Let me ask you a question. if President Trump was not a great supporter of the Second Amendment, why during the stupid 19 control of virus lockdown, President Trump insisted that gun stores remain open? If he wasn't supportive of the Second Amendment, why would he do it?
I think that was the best thing he did do, was he kept it open, and that was a very good decision. I'm voting for Trump. I just want to let you know. I'm praying that I am voting for him. I got a call from the Republicans called me today on the phone, and I told them I am voting for him, but I'm just gonna, just let God handle it from here.
Well, that's, as long as I'm with you. I am still a believer in President Trump, but if President Trump starts doing things that are not in line with, and not to mention the fact that he promised, and everything he promised he did, but if he strays from the path, I'll be the first one to hold Donald Trump's feet to the fire. But right now, from what I've seen, he's told us what he was going to do. He made promises. He's kept the promises. He's bringing our troops home. He is standing for, even tonight, they said to him, do you believe in this Fight Club? And we're not going to talk about Fight Club. But President Trump said, I don't even want to talk about Fight Club, but I know this. People in Fight Club are very, very much against pedophilia, and I am with them on that. He can't say, yes, I'm for Fight Club, but he's saying, yes, I'm for Fight Club. So I'm glad you're voting for Trump, and I salute you for that. Any last comments before we move on?
No, I was gonna. I'm gonna pray for the best, and I understand that the mark of the beast and all this has to happen. It's part of the plan. It's part of the book of Revelations. But I think that Trump is. We've got to vote for Trump. He's our last hope at this point.
Well, I appreciate you. Thanks so much for the call.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now, and we'll move right on. Of course, I don't believe that those things have to happen, but the caller is very kind, very polite, and very interesting. Thank you for holding. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty. You're live on Late Night in the Heartland.
Hello, Jeffrey. This is Daniel Allman.
Hello, Daniel Allman, with the great Confederate flag meme. I love it.
Yes, sir. That is me. I'm so glad that I got through. How's it going tonight, sir?
It's just another night in paradise, and I mean that literally. It's a great day. I got a new jacket today. I kind of like it, and everything's coming up roses for me, my friend.
Absolutely. You're looking good, sir. But I wanted to ask you, if you don't mind, is I was watching the debate. I don't know if you touched on it yet or not, but forgive me if I talk about something you hit on. I just tuned in, but
right.
President Trump was asked about the child trafficking by that wonderful lady tonight, and it seemed that I think he answered that he didn't know much about it, or he was going to look into it. I'm not quite sure what he said, but did you catch that tonight when she tried to question him about the Democrats and the child trafficking?
The only thing I remember him talking about with child trafficking was when she asked him what his feelings were on Fight Club. And we're not saying that other word, about, we're not saying that, but Fight Club, you don't talk about Fight Club. So we're calling it Fight Club. It's the PR event.
Yes, sir.
Between the lines. So she asked him, do you believe in Fight Club? Will you renounce Fight Club? And I think the president brought up those people that do believe in Fight Club are very, very against human trafficking and very, very against pedophilia. And I'm for them. She even used the words satanic pedophile cult. And President Trump said, I am with the people that are against pedophilia. So I think that's the only mention that came up with human trafficking, except one of the citizens asked him about immigration. He mentioned we put up the Great Wall. It's over 400 miles so far, and it's preventing a lot of human trafficking. Those are the only things I remember. And I watched it. I couldn't even sit. I was standing the whole time because it was very intense, and I couldn't believe they were treating my president that way. But that's the only parts I remember about trafficking.
I just can't believe, Jeff, in all my life, I've only been alive for 35 years, but, throughout my life, I've never seen a president of our country get treated like our president is treated. It is just despicable to see this. that
It is totally
they talk to
despicable.
him the way they do, and just watching this is just crazy what we see in the world today. Jeff.
It is. They treat our president with utter disrespect. It is a complete insult to the sanctity of our great institutions, and it just shows that we don't have an independent press anymore. We've got a regime media that is pumping nothing but left-wing Marxist propaganda and doing everything they can to topple a man that is right now the last chance for us to restore our great constitutional republic. Do you have any last comments to wrap up a really good call?
Oh, no, sir. I was just wanted to be able to get through and maybe get a chance to talk to you. Thank you for taking my call, and I appreciate you hearing me out. Just wanted to see if you caught that, but he was going through a lot, and I'm glad he's made it this far, as strong as he has. And imagine what he could do if he was just left alone to do his job. It would be crazy what he could do.
I think we'll see that after the re-election, because he doesn't have to worry about being re-elected again.
Absolutely, Mr. Jeffrey. I appreciate you taking my call, sir, and you have a good night, and I'll tune back in, sir.
You bet. Call in again, and we'll definitely take it. So let's go ahead and move on to the next caller who's been on hold. Thank you for holding. It's late night in the Heartland, and you're live with Jeffrey Daugherty.
All right, Jeffrey, this is Brian.
Hi, Brian.
I was watching your episode with Conspiracy Castle, and you are really clarifying your point that you're not a Scientologist. You believe in white Scientology or Dianetics.
Yeah, by definition, I probably am a Scientologist. The point I always try to make is that I've never been a member of the official Church of Scientology, but by definition, L. Ron Hubbard wrote that any person that seeks to use any Dianetic or Scientology technology or techniques to help the world is a Scientologist. So by that definition, I am, but I was never part of the official Church of Scientology, and I don't consider myself a Scientologist. I consider that to be one of the tools that I use to try to help change this world for the better.
Okay, and the reason for that is because you believe that like the books have been corrupted and his words have been misconstrued. I can't remember the guy's name.
L. Ron Hubbard. The first reason I think that is because it works. The technology, and even when I wasn't using the best technology, which I'm now discovering, it works every time it's tried for every person that tries it. You get profound gains, profound results. And that was using post 1972 is kind of the cutoff. L. Ron Hubbard was in charge up until 1972, and his writings were pure L. Ron Hubbard writings. In 1972, he was, and I have a video on this, he was kidnapped by the United States deep state, and the deep state took over the Church of Scientology. That's what we know today. It's a bad place. Don't join it. Don't read the books. Don't go there. And they have systematically corrupted all of the Dianetic and Scientology information to where now not only is it not helpful, but it's actually harmful, and it is the basis for MK Ultra mind control.
Okay. I mean, I can see that happening, but my point I'm trying to get at is, do you believe that that could have also happened to the Christian faith in Jesus Christ, that, the Bible can contain a lot of information that was not his teachings, or, like kind of like the same way they did L. Ron Hubbard, like they did that to Jesus Christ? Do you believe that that could be a possibility?
I think that's a really interesting point to bring up. Now, if you know my background, I spent 20 years as a full-time evangelist with some of the largest denominations in the world. I have a Bible college degree, and I spent over 100,000 hours, verified by George Norrie, by the way, studying the biblical text. And my conclusion is that, and you bring up the comparison between L. Ron Hubbard and Jesus, I know L. Ron Hubbard was real. There's proof that he was. There's objective information outside of Scientology and Dianetic works that he was real. There is no objective information outside of the Bible, biblical works, that Jesus Christ was real. So in that comparison, I know that L. Ron Hubbard was real. I don't know that Jesus was real, but the idea that people have about who Jesus was, and it's not really completely backed up by scripture, but most people that are true Christians and want to be good people and want to do good, think about the good things that are associated with the Jesus character that I call it the Jesus character. Those people and those desires for those things I support. But the reason why I'm the Christian whistleblower is because the text of what you call the Bible does not really support that individual, one, even being alive, and number two, teaching what the good people with kind hearts that are in Christianity think he taught. I don't know if any of that makes sense to you, but that's where I am. And there are some keys in the Bible that are encoded that tell us all of these things, tell us that they're trying to use it to keep us locked in a slave matrix, tell us how they're doing it, and tell us how we can get out of it. So, yeah, there is some good parts of the Bible, but they're hidden and they're encoded. And the Bible as a whole is a maze and a lock, and it's intended to keep us locked into a fear and guilt control matrix, in my opinion. What do you say?
I actually came across your work because I came across your work before the Conspiracy Castle episode when I was looking into the difference between the Lord and God, Yahweh and Elohim. I don't know if I necessarily, just from my own personal experience in my life, turning away from Christ has not brought benefit to me, and it seems pretty correlated, but to each his own.
Right.
But
your experience is your experience. And there's an old saying that says a person convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. I'm not here to convince you to turn your back on anything. I'm here to give you all of the information. I'm like a dealer in Vegas. I'm dealing all the cards face up. You decide if you want to hit. You decide if you want to hold them. You decide if you want to fold them. But I'm dealing everything face up, so you at least get all the information that I can put in front of you, and you can use that to make a well-informed decision.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, and that's why I listen to you. I like to get I always like to keep my mind open and hear other perspectives.
If you do that, you will be in good stead. Okay, bring it to me real quick because we do have people on hold.
Okay. So I'm sure you're familiar with Genesis, and in the very first part of Genesis,
love Phil Collins.
Describes. I'm sorry, what?
I said I loved Phil Collins. His band was called Genesis, wasn't it?
Oh, Phil Collins.
I'm with you. The book of Genesis. Go ahead.
So in the very first part, after I started reading it through the lens that the Lord and God are different characters, I noticed in the very beginning, it describes how God creates everything, but then as soon as God creates everything, the Lord comes back and creates everything that God just created. And I was just looking at that and I was thinking, is this describing a matrix being designed? Were we put into a physical matrix?
You are on the trail, my friend. You are on the trail. This is what started me. You're on the trail. You're on the path. Keep going.
Okay. I'm going to let you get to some other callers then.
Great call. Thanks for calling back. Don't be a stranger.
All right. See ya.
Take care. Bye-bye. Oh, wow. Oh, I did the wrong thing. Sorry. Close. No, we actually don't have a call waiting. How about that? I get a chance to take a deep breath. That's awesome. That's awesome. So the phone line is open. It's 913-279-0831. And I really enjoy the fact that we're getting some calls tonight that are not so much Jeff fans. And I'll leave it at that. It's late night in the Heartland, and you're live with Jeffrey Daugherty. Thanks for calling.
Oh, thanks for answering, Jeff. I didn't want to bombard you too quick after that last one, but how's it going?
It's going great. How are you, Brandon?
Oh, just dandy. It's been a crazy, crazy day. Regarding your last call, I mentioned in the chat, if anybody has time to watch a year's worth of your content from,
I saw that,
say October 2019 to now, they'll get caught up real fast. But I mean, I understand you got to be patient with new callers that are new to your channel. And it's really nice to see, because again, you're referencing back to like the days of Art Bell, and you got to be patient with people, and they're still, even though they're not necessarily on the right frequency yet, they're getting there.
Yeah, and that guy's a great example. And he was polite, and he was interesting.
Yeah.
And he's starting down the right path. He's asking the right questions. And that's really what my work is to do, is to get people to ask those questions. Some will, some won't. So what? Who's next? That's the way I have to look at it. That's the way I have to look at it. Do you have any truth bombs for us tonight?
Oh, of course I do. I wanted to reference the call from Grandmaster Sexy last night.
Okay.
It was really also kind how you entertained him for a while, even though a lot of people like myself are kind of trolling him in the chat a little bit.
Yeah, we need to make sure he keeps things a little slimmer next time.
Exactly. It's like he had great points and all that, but even though the proprietary features of your vehicle shouldn't matter in the grand scheme of things, like going back to what a previous caller was talking about as far as their experience with the psychedelic tools and whatnot, eventually you arrive to the conclusions that we are more than what our body is, but at the same time, our genetic lines in this 3D realm have cultural history, and to deny that is folly. It's a slap in the face of the ancestors that came before you if you don't honor their legacy.
And I think we miss. I don't think I'm still, my jury's a little out on this, but I'm becoming more and more convinced that until we learn to fully optimize what we are as a human, and that certainly includes what we are ancestrally, historically, genetically, then we really can't optimize ourselves. And until we optimize our body, then we're going to have a difficult time optimizing the spirit that's driving the body, to follow through on the metaphor.
Absolutely, Jeff. And it kills me that us white people are still celebrating Christmas instead of solstice, you know?
Yeah, it's Christianity is just a terrible religion. It's a culture destroying religion. And I would encourage everybody to find their ancestral roots and learn more about them. Do you have anything else to drop on us? We got people on hold.
Oh, I know. I'll be as quick as I can. It was just amazing to see all the hoopla on Twitter today. It actually got overloaded because it was the #1 trending topic on Twitter, talking about the Biden crime family.
That's good.
And Giuliani is releasing information on his private website to avoid the information getting memory hold, which is what they're doing right now on Twitter. Like the press secretary of the White House, they removed her account today for like hours on end. And Twitter actually got overloaded to a point where it wasn't accessible at all for a lot of people.
And
I think they're really...
The Trump campaign Twitter account was removed. That's direct election interference.
Yeah, so now they're on the hook for some major problems, you know, like they're going to see some real big things coming their way, and I can't wait for second term. I think it's going to be great.
And also, Senator Ted Cruz and his judicial committee have subpoenaed the Jack guy in charge of Twitter. So it's going to be very interesting.
Dorsey is his time's limited.
Yep. Pretty soon we may be singing "Ding Dong, the Wicked Witch is Dead." Brandon, thanks for the call.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jeff.
Take care.
Bye now.
Bye-bye. Thank you for holding. It's late night in the heartland, and you're live with Jeffrey Daugherty. Hello, you're live with Jeffrey Daugherty.
Hi, Jeff. Sorry about that. I'm on my mobile phone.
That's okay.
Unfortunately, where I live in England, I only have Wi-Fi. So the calls, we don't have 3G, 4G. So I've had to drive down the road to talk to you.
You sound good.
Is it good? You can hear me okay, yeah?
Yes, I can hear you great.
All right, sorry about that. Yeah, Jeff, I've been following you a long time.
Well, thank you.
I think the first time, I'd say the first time you went on Rex's show, what's that, 4 or 5 years ago?
It's been a while.
Yeah, and I say I followed you a long time, and I mean, I remember the first time I watched you on Rex, and I thought, this guy has been in the church doing what he's doing, and he's suddenly turned and he's gone totally against it. And I thought, the integrity of this man to do that after that length of time and not just go with the flow, I thought this guy is worth following, listening to. And I mean, you haven't disappointed, Jeff, every year. Brilliant. Love you.
I appreciate that. And I wish I'd had more integrity, because it actually took me about 4 years from when I knew that I was in the wrong place to get myself to have, about 3 years to get myself to actually make the break. So I wasn't quite as, didn't quite have the integrity that you speak of, but I appreciate that. And it's been a lot of hard work, and to know that there's people like you out there that have benefited from it, it makes it well worth it. And I'm so glad you took your time to call in. And what else do you have for me besides those very kind words, which I thank you for?
I mean, obviously, listening to you 4 years, I've got a mountain, but I'll keep it short because I know you've got a lot of callers.
Well, you're calling from the UK, so we'll give you a little extra time. That's a special treat.
Oh, thank you. And I do support your channel. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, what I was going to say was, I know you talk about, I mean, this isn't what I was going to talk about, but this is what I'll say first is, you know, you talk about all these other guys on YouTube and what have you, and why they do what they do and why they have a following, what have you. I mean, I look at it as it's all about their projection onto people.
Right.
And that once they get people to believe their projection, it's hard for them to pull away. So they hook them in and they project their things to them. And people, whether they're like a white screen, and they just absorb everything these guys are saying to them. And then they're hooked and they believe. And you know, when you believe something, you manifest it and it becomes your reality.
Oh, that's a great explanation.
Once that happens, yeah, and I've seen it. I mean, I talk to people, and 9 times out of 10, people aren't talking to you, they're projecting what their life is on you. And they're trying to tell you what they've done and what have you. Rather than listening to what people say, they actually just want to project to other people. And like you say about the Engrams and what have you, I mean, I put a comment in the chat a couple of days ago, and I was wondering, can you actually create your own Engrams by getting something in your head, falling asleep, dreaming about it, and it going into your subconscious?
You know what? I've never even thought about that. I don't really know what the literature says about it. I'll have to research it. But I think I would have to say, yes, you can.
Yeah.
It makes perfect sense.
It feels right, doesn't it?
That's right. I know it's right. Instinctively, intuitively. And, you know, I've done it. That's why and even people asking themselves the questions like, why am I so fat? Why am I so fat? Why am I so fat? You can create an Engram of sorts there, because your reactive mind was to tell you why you're fat, instead of asking, how do I get to my ideal weight, or how do I lose weight? And then you can create, you know, positive inertia. I think you hit something, that we do create our own Engrams.
Yeah, as well as being projected onto us.
I think you're right.
Sorry, Jeff, a little delay. Say again.
I think you're right.
Yeah, it's just what I was thinking. Are you wanting to go for a toilet break, or are we okay for another few minutes?
No, give me another one. I'm ready.
All right, okay, right. I heard a guy talking before about we're all the same, we're all having the same thing, we all live here. And to be honest with you, I don't quite subscribe to that thought process or understanding at the moment. I mean, obviously, everything can change in the blink of an eye when you get more information. I mean, you can't be blinkered, and you can't just say, that's it, that's what I believe in. So anyway, what it was when my wife was giving birth to our second daughter, now she can see and hear things that other people can't see, if you know what I mean.
Right.
She sees stuff and hears stuff that's not in normal people can see and hear. You know what I mean? So anyway, what I was going to say was, when she was giving birth to my daughter, she'd had the gas and air and what have you, and she was traveling up the white tube.
Wow.
And as she was getting nearer the top, there was a person stood there. She said it was an old woman, and she said to her, you have to go back. So she looked at her and she turned around and she went back. And as she was traveling back down, something passed her in the tunnel. and it was going down. Now, what it was, we don't know. Could it have been at the soul, my daughter's soul, and whatever? But anyway,
Ooh, that's
she had a very
one.
different. She had a very difficult birth. She had the cord around her neck, and they were struggling to get her out. They had the crash unit there to revive her if she came out, and what have you. And when she came out, she was totally quiet. She was totally chilled. She was absolutely perfectly still, and all she did was make a sucking noise with her mouth. And I looked at her and I thought, how do you know how to do that? You've just been born, you've had a traumatic birth, you're so relaxed, you're so calm, it's like you knew. And she's 19 now, my youngest daughter, and ever since then I thought, wow, how did she know what was going to happen to her? So there must be something else, and that's what started me on my path of learning and researching and what have you. And I mean, all through her life, we've gone, how does she do stuff? 10 months old, she stood up and walked. She didn't crawl. She didn't sit on her bum. One day she just got up and she walked. And that was it.
That sounds like an extraordinary young lady. And what a great story. That's one of the best calls that we've had since we've been doing this show.
Okay. Yeah, and sorry, one more thing is,
please.
She used to fill a nappy on a night with, you know what I mean? It was like a 2-kilo bag hanging off her on a night. And me and the missus used to have restless nights thinking, how are we going to potty train this kid so that she doesn't need a nappy on a night? And one day she just said to the missus, I'm not wearing a nappy tonight. And we thought, oh, here we go. This is going to be fun and games. And not being funny, she never, ever wet the bed, ever.
Isn't that
she went
amazing?
From filling a nappy on a night. Yeah, and she does everything when she wants to do it. Not when she's ready, she'll do it, and she'll do it, and she won't do it before then. And I'm just like, it amazes me that it's as if it's planned, and she has a known time when she's going to do something, and that's what set me on my way.
Those are beautiful stories. You have a tremendous spiritual experience. I'm so thankful that you called in all the way from the UK. Please don't let it be the last time. And thank you for sharing those tremendous stories with us. I think you've inspired some people tonight.
No worries. And as far as you go on the flat earth, Jeff?
I'm sorry?
Are you okay for 2 minutes? I say, can we talk about the flat earth for 2 seconds?
Sure, go ahead.
Right. You know, I was listening to the guy talking about the creator thing. And I thought, you know what? He's not far off. I look at the cosmos as if it's flat bubble wrap. Does that make sense?
I'm with you. Absolutely. I agree with you.
Yeah. So you've got, I assume that because of all the ancient stuff that you find on the planet and the giants 3 miles high that skeletons they find, it must have been larger at some point or part of a larger thing.
Yeah.
Because of the size of the structures and the size of the beings that were here before, they wouldn't have been sustainable on such a small chunk of rock.
That's a great point. So maybe there's just more now that we don't know about and that's being hidden from us. Is that possible?
Absolutely, yeah. There's no doubt about it. And it just feels like it was part of a bigger chunk of flat rock, and they've broke it up into segments.
You know, and as you say that, I've always had that feeling of like, there's much more than this, much more than they're telling us about. That I think you're so right, and that's true. That resonates with me, and even if you and I are the only ones that believe it, I think we're right.
Yeah, well, I just look at the west coast of America and the way it's fractured.
Yes.
And you've got all the mountains down that one side from north to south, and I think that looks like it's had impact trauma.
It does.
And you mean, because from there's nothing, is there, till you get right round the other side? It seems like that was the edge of the original piece of land before it was the earth separated out. I'm assuming it sort of expanded in its own flat level, and that's why all the continents were created. But it just seems to me, it just makes sense to me. But like I say, proving it's another thing.
It is. Great thoughts, though. Great inspiration. Thanks so much for calling us. And please call again, okay?
Okay, thanks, Jeff.
Thank you, my friend. So great to hear from a
Bye.
long-time listener. Take care. That's a great call, ladies and gentlemen. No rest for the weary. It is late night in the heartland, and you're live with Jeffrey Daugherty.
Hello, Jeff. This is Miles. How are you?
Hello, Miles.
Well, Jeff, I just heard that you were talking about, I didn't hear about it until you said it, but Trump said he was definitely against pedophilia. Did he not tonight?
He said it in no uncertain terms.
Excellent. Well, the reason I'm calling is this word truther. I've always had a problem with it.
I hate it, but what else are you going to use?
I know, and I kind of hear that in your voice when you use it, and why I want to talk about that is because when we're talking about truth, no one really defines what truth is. In other words, it's the truth about the false that we're usually after, is it not, Jeff?
That's a good point. Yeah.
In other words, why I'm asking this is because I hear a lot of people saying, when I ask people, what is the truth? Tell me what the truth is to you. Well, they'll tell me about the uncovery process or the discovery process of what's false. So if that's true, then maybe we need to start looking at not the truth about the false, but what's the truth about the truth?
That's a great point, because I remember back when I was a Christian, you would always ask, if you ask people, what are your beliefs? They would start listing the things they don't believe. And we don't drink, we don't smoke, we don't chew, we don't hang out with those that do. But what do you really believe?
Yeah.
And it's very much the same with quote unquote truthers. What's the truth? Well, sometimes you'll get positive responses, but many times you'll get a lot of, well, we don't believe this, we don't believe that.
Yeah, but Jeff, so let me ask you this. What's the ultimate truth for you once, because you are amazing about, your exposition about the Bible and, all the study you've done. So after all that and the rat bastard and everything you know about all this, once that's said and done, what is the truth for you?
The truth for me, and I think the one truth that you have to learn before you can graduate from whatever this is and move on from it, is you have to learn and know and believe that you're divine. You don't have original sin. You're divine. You're a spark of divinity. You have to know that you're sovereign and learn to walk and move and actually have your being in sovereignty. And then by doing that, you become free. And when you're at the end of whatever this is that we're in, to be divine, sovereign, and free, and able to move on to a place of your choice after this. So the greatest truth to me is we're divine, we're sovereign, we're free, and it's not up to anybody or anything else except for us.
Excellent. So you are the truth, aren't you, Jeff?
I am the truth. Absolutely. We are the truth.
Yeah, you are the truth. You are the way. You are the light for yourself.
Yep.
Isn't that beautiful? So, that's really where I'm looking at, as far as
the truth and the life.
Yes, because who else is, the other person, other people are in themselves.
Right.
But it has to do with exactly with what you said, as far as I'm concerned, in my opinion, which is spiritual self-reliance.
Exactly. And that goes back to, if you think about, we don't believe in the script. Many people call it the scripture. We don't believe in the script, but there are keys in there that tell us what they're doing to us and tell us how to get out of it. And, it goes out of its way to say that there's only two real laws. One of the laws is love yourself, and the other law is love your neighbor as yourself. So it's allowing discover your own divinity, sovereignty, and freedom, and giving your neighbor the liberty to discover their divinity, sovereignty, and freedom, which might not be yours.
Exactly. Yes. And how about if they're not capable of understanding that at this time, like a lot of Christians or a lot of people that are heavily into, believing the power of religion or an authority telling you what you need to know, do, or think. And I just think that is going to be coming down. That's one of the great things that Donald Trump will probably bring, just like you say, after the election. There's going to be, he's not going to rely so much heavily on the Christian population. He didn't going to need them that much anymore after the
right. He's
the
got to
election.
play the game now because it's a big voting block. But after the election, I think you're going to see a different Donald Trump. Again, he won't need the limbs. He won't need the evangelicals. He won't need any of these groups that you have to cobble together to make a winning electoral coalition. And we will get to see who Donald Trump is, and everything that we see from him by his actions is that he is a true patriot that loves America, and he's going to do what's right for America. And he doesn't care how many of these little groups he pisses off. He's going to do what's right for America. And at the end of the day, when the things that are best for America happen, then all of the groups that make up Americans will also thrive, or they'll at least be on a level playing field where they'll be able to thrive to their abilities. The freedom doesn't mean opportunity of outcome. It means freedom up. It doesn't mean equality of outcome. It means equality of opportunity. We all get the same chance, but we make what we make of that chance by our own abilities and giftings and willingness to work our ass off.
Exactly, by merit.
By merit, absolutely.
Yes. And meritorious action is going to be the forefront after the election, I guarantee you.
Say that one more time. You broke up.
Say that again.
You broke up. Say your last sentence for me again, please.
I said meritorious action will be the forefront of a lot of what's going to happen after the election. Absolutely, 100%. Because I can just see, let me just finish with this. I was going to ask you this. I love to look at bigger picture things. I love to just draw the bigger picture more and more. And I think I've talked to you before a while back I sent you an email, and I think you sent me an email back. We were talking, I was asking you about the Gnostic scriptures, because I myself have gone through a lot of mythology and comparative religious studies with the Bible for years. And what I see in a bigger picture way, let's just pose the idea that, let's say Jeff and I were hanging out at the Cosmic Bar one night, and you told me that you had been experimenting with something. And I said, what is that? And in bliss all the time. We can do anything we want. We can spin worlds off of our fingertips because of the great originator gave us this incredible gift to be able to do these kind of things. I just started thinking about, I just needed a challenge. And I needed a challenge, so I created this idea of limitation.
Oh. We can limitations.
And then Miles said, well, Jeff, what do you mean? He said, well, I created a new world. In this world, you portal in through the feminine. And I said, really? Yeah, we just don't dance with the feminine. We can portal in with them. We can do all kinds of things. They're amazing. Their intelligence, but I kind of use the whole idea of portaling in and just being completely vulnerable to the environment that was around me.
Wow!
And I just did a memory wipe on myself for a little while. But here's the kick: how the originator said, you got to be really careful because you could lose yourself in experience. So much so that you could scare yourself to fucking death.
Yeah.
And also, because other people would go, well, that could be crazy, because how could you explain the rapes, the pedophilia, the horror, the absolute destruction of life and everything else? Well, as infinite beings, if we were those, Wouldn't you think that we could laugh at that stuff after the fact? It's
That's
kind
a
of
tough
like
one. I'm
Michael.
with you.
It's kind of like Michael Douglas in The Game. Look at his narcissistic ass. Did you think that he could ever think that he would fall on the safety of a giant pillow while they wiped the safety glass out of his eyes and said, be careful, it's going to be okay. And he gets up and he drinks the champagne that was so expensive of appreciation to the nth degree. So, Jeff, you know, all I'm saying is, what if this whole thing is either that we're playing the game of limitation, or how about if we were creators and we created worlds before this, where before we ever came into this place, and the reason why we came in is that the originators, you know, the Elohim went, well, you know, guys, we told you about this emanating gift you had. It works 24/7, and it's always emanating your greatest aspirations or your greatest fears. And you got to learn how to work that. And because you didn't, and the one cardinal rule that we had was never lord over your creations and tell them you should be worshipped and they'll be punished, because that's why we're going to have to send you here, because the Rothschilds and people like that, that's the same dynamic that you were trying to do. So you're learning how to appreciate that gift now. And maybe now. Yeah, so I'm just looking at this whole thing because things are getting very absurd, Jeff, as far as the political realm. I mean, it's getting bizarrely comical.
It is.
And that looks like, and I think our great president actually knows something we don't know about. You know, even when you even said in 2012 he kind of got the Looking Glass vibe, and I call him Don the Time Crasher, because somehow he knew how to crash time.
I think you're right, Miles.
He knew how to work it.
In. We got some people on hold. Okay, I hate to cut you off, but we do have some people
Okay, well, anyway, blessings. Keep going, Jeff. You're doing great.
Miles, that's a great call. Please keep calling back. I just feel a little guilty leaving people on hold.
Oh, yeah, I'm just having too much fun.
Oh, it's a great time, my brother. I appreciate it. What a great call. Oh, crap, we didn't have anybody on hold. But, I mean, 11 minutes, that's a good call, and it's a powerful call. And what a great ride that is, right? What a great ride that is. We're here, and you know, it goes back to the idea that I'm thinking, and that I know that it's a game. This is a place of games, and the people that are losing or the people that aren't winning, they're the people that are playing somebody else's game. But those of us that know, and those of us that have figured this out, those of us that are cracking the code, we're realizing we can play our own game. We can play our own game. And that's what we're doing. When you learn this, you learn that it is a game. You learn that you can play your game, and you learn that you can play it to win. It is late night in the Heartland, and you're live with Jeffrey Daugherty. Thank you for calling.
Jeff, what's up, brother?
Hey, what's up?
Hey, man. I was wondering your input or outlook on the Atlantean, more specifically, like Edgar Cayce. What do you know about him?
Well, I've read a couple of books about him. You know, he's the guy, just so everybody knows, called the Sleeping Prophet. And, you know, he did make some, you know, amazing predictions. He wrote some amazing information. He was right a lot of the time. He wasn't right all of the time. He was still a little snuggled up to the scripture for me, or the script as I call it. But I think all in all, I wouldn't like base my life, or I wouldn't base my understandings on Edgar Cayce. But if you have some extra time and you want to have maybe a fuller experience, it is good stuff to look at and to read and to understand. And he actually did have some really powerful and helpful writings and beliefs as far as health goes too. So yeah, you know, good guy, interesting guy. I wouldn't build a church around him, but yeah,
well,
pretty good.
From my understanding, he he would actually go into a hypnotic, where he was not aware of his conscious self.
And that's what worries me, to be frank with you.
Right. But he would literally be able to speak languages that he didn't know in past lives. Like he would be able to live a life of a French woman on the Titanic or something.
That might have been an interesting life, but
be able to speak fluently while he was in these incantation type trances. And he also was able to go as far back as Atlantis. And that's the interesting part.
That is
supposedly he was able to speak Atlantean or whatever they were speaking back then.
Or were they speaking?
Sumerian.
Or were they just doing it through telepathy? I don't know.
Right. That's kind of how but supposedly what led there's different interpretations on their demise, but the Atlanteans became a warfaring race, and they got off the beaten path of harmony and peace and love and all that jazz, and started trying conquering lands. And supposedly that was something that well, I mean, that's up to interpretation, but kind of like a biblical flood. They took them out. But I don't know, man. Edgar Casey is really interesting. I've been looking into him lately.
He is, like I said, I'll definitely give you that. I think he is interesting, and I don't think that you necessarily harm yourself by reading Edgar Casey. I don't know how much. I mean, I don't. Really
Well, you
have a
believe in
strong opinion either
reincarnation,
way.
right?
I do.
So it kind of reaffirms the whole theory of reincarnation, because he was.
It could, yeah, it could.
I don't know if
do that.
But he was actually helping people through therapy, and like almost tapping into their ancestors, if that means anything.
Powerful stuff,
So,
interesting stuff. What else you got for me?
Oh, not much, man. The Trump fiasco tonight was pretty crazy. I thought that chick. I didn't think anyone could outdo Chris Wallace, but that Savannah, whatever her name was a total disgrace. Total disgusting. Like the typical questions. The white supremacy bullshit, and then the QAnon. What the fuck?
But the president handled himself so well. I mean, you would have expected him to get upset and snap at her, but he handled himself very well. And I think he showed everybody.
But he should have just, instead of engaging all that, he should have just been like, yeah, but what about Hunter Biden? What about, SEAL Team 6? What about this whole, but I get it. He doesn't want to just totally blow it up. But
and he came off
very
what
about
presidential.
Censorship? He should have just said, that's a good question. But what about censorship?
Yeah. Hey,
that might be. He could have been more aggressive, but he was being defensive. So
I think he was trying to be presidential. I think you did a great job. I think you make a good.
Yeah, I did.
And
compared to Joe Biden,
yep.
God, man, that was a total softball session, man. They gave him nothing.
It's crazy. Hey, listen, thanks for the call. I appreciate it. Don't let that be your last time. And we do have some people on hold, so I wanted to move on. It's late night in the heartland. Thank you for holding. You're live with Jeffrey Daugherty. Please turn down your device in the background.
Right? I do. So it kind of reaffirmed.
Okay. Didn't turn down their device. People on hold. Thank you for holding. It's late night in the heartland. You're live with Jeffrey Daugherty.
Jeffrey Daugherty, it's have seen 214 from the Pegasus constellation, sir. And I would like to know your opinion on President Trump winning this election and the impact the Jesuits have in his favor.
Well, thank you for calling from wherever you hail from. I appreciate it. I think there's no doubt that President Trump wins the election. I predicted that he wins more than 45 states. He crushes the popular vote, crushes the Electoral College. And the Jesuits have absolutely nothing to do with Donald Trump except to be in opposition towards him. I know people say, oh, we went to a Jesuit college. Lots of people went to a Jesuit college. Doesn't make him a Jesuit. I don't think Trump has any connections to the Jesuits. He's not a Jesuit. And the only effect they would have on him is being in opposition to his efforts to restore our representative republic.
Very interesting. Very, very curious. Now, once he wins this 4 years, and I believe that he will, and this is Colin from Texas, so there's no doubt that he wins this state.
Sure.
My question is, after these 4 years, what's your thought on President Cuomo? Does that ring a bell? Is that no good? What are your thoughts on that?
You think Fredo's going to run for president?
Not Fredo, the other one.
I know.
Fredo's done.
I was joking with you.
I know, and I get that too. Listen, that's a good one. I said that too to my brother, and he's like, "No way, Fredo. We see it on there every night." Like, no, not Fredo.
Fredo's brother could get elected dog catcher after what he's done with New York. He'll be lucky to avoid prosecution. He'll be lucky not to be wearing an orange jumpsuit. His political career is over.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that 100%. And after this election, there's going to be a lot of people. I have a feeling that are going to be so tore up and just dumbfounded on what happened. Did the rug get pulled out, or were they blind to the circumstances? I mean, were they being fed some other nonsense? They're going to be curious about their own existence.
Well, my wife Cynthia is in a website. I want to say it's International Monetary Fund. I don't think it's the International Monetary Fund, but some other international think tank. They put out a very detailed website, and I think it's almost like disclosure. I have to make sure I get the name of it from her. And there's an article on there that says, plain flat out says, we were doing really good. We were about to bring in the New World Order. We were about to bring in the whole global economy. Everything was going great. But then this Donald Trump that we didn't foresee, they say this, we didn't foresee Donald Trump, and now he has put the brakes on everything. And it's possible that he might mess up all of our plans unless we defeat him. And they know it. I think they just completely underestimated Donald Trump, underestimated his resolve. And we dodged a bullet, and we got the chance on November 3rd, I think, to initiate at least the best 4 years this country's ever had. I don't know if Trump is done. His age may restrict him, but I hope that there's somebody that will rise up and take the mantle of Donald Trump and help keep this representative republic that is being restored and carry it forward. I'm hopeful.
Yeah, and I agree with that. Now, one of the things he's overcome is this whole pandemic, right? And so you've got a president who has had the virus, had the issue, and has overcome it. Now, that's going to be such a strong position for his candidacy and the country moving forward to, move away from this fear and this fear mongering, this fear tactics, whatever this is that's come upon us in this whole year. It's been terrible. So that's, I just wanted to call in. I wanted to put that out there, and I wanted to just, gauge your understanding of where this goes, past this year, because it's going to, over the next decade, right? That's going to be the important piece.
Because what we're going to
now
get,
is the middle. Yes.
What we're going to get in a second Trump term, we're going to get the abolishment of the Fed and a new monetary system. We're going to see the abolishment of the IRS as we know it. I think that you're going to see a gutting of the federal government. I can see him cutting the federal government by up to 50%. And I have this little tickle in the back of my mind that we may see term limits coming. And we also, what else? There's one more thing I always think he's going to do that we might. Oh, and he will, before he leaves office, he will tell us the whole story about the Manchurian candidate that was Barack Hussein Obama.
Very curious, very curious. And you know, I have no doubt that's going to happen, especially now with the mainstream media just coming down heavy on this, you know, this whole Q thing, right?
We don't say
So
the word anymore. We talk about Fight Club, right?
Yeah, Fight Club, I meant. Did I say the alphabet? I meant Fight Club.
Absolutely.
Exactly correct. It's amazing how this pendulum has swung so far to the correct side of things. Curious.
It is curious, and we'll hopefully, you know, I want to hold it on our side, but maybe it needs to swing back to the middle, but we'll see. What else you got for me?
Well, that was it. I appreciate you taking the time to answer the questions that I had and taking the call.
That's a great call. Don't hesitate to call back again, okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Have a good night. Be safe.
You too. Thanks as well. And we are live. It's late night in the heartland. Rex says, I've hit my stride with this new format. I appreciate it very, very much. We're going to go ahead and turn the phone calls off just for a minute. We're going to take a little break, and then we will be back with more right after this. We got more calls to come, and we can certainly have commentary on the calls that we have seen. But right now, I want to tell you about, or I want you to listen to some great guys that I do business with and are part of my life on a daily basis. And this is the great people from Focused Life Force Energy. And I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower. This is Late Night in the Heartland. And I'll be right back with you after this great word from our sponsor, Focused Life Force Energy.
Focused Life Force Energy is a subscription service that activates a high consciousness field. Now, this high consciousness field supports our mission of the optimal conditions for human evolution. So FLFE, or Focused Life Force Energy, works much like prayer. So holding a person in mind, we believe, activates a field around that person. And then whatever you're feeling for that person, whether it's healing energy, love, is now by quantum association in that field. So FLFE works in much the same way, where we have an identifier for a location, whether it's a legal address, coordinates, or an object such as a cell phone. We activate a field, and then we're specifying the conditions within the field.
So we use consciousness kinesiology to write the programs that we have in the high consciousness field. So these programs are positive declarative statements which enhance the field and provide you the opportunity to be your best self, as Jeff said. It supports the mission of us having the optimal conditions for the evolution of consciousness. We also have programs such as EMF mitigation. We also have a brain optimization program. That's brain optimization for the modern world, which assists us with managing the electromagnetic smog that we live in, helps rebuild the brain during the evening and focus on enhancing our brain functions during the day. And there's many other programs that we won't mention at this time. They're on our website. We're constantly adding more value to the service by adding more programs and refining the ones that we have.
And that is Focused Life Force Energy. They are one of my great sponsors. And if you do want to avail yourselves of their service, go to jeffreydaugherty.com, click on the FLFE logo. I call it fluffy, and it looks sort of like that. And that way you can get up to 30 days free, or you can just go ahead and take advantage of a great offer and get the service right then and there without the free trial. So it's a great folks, and it's a really great service. It's certainly changed my life. We've got about a half an hour left. We've talked about a lot of great stuff. This has probably been our best night of calls. And yes, when you call in, just press 0, and I will go ahead and open the phone lines again. You can see the number on the screen. It is 913-279-0831. It's 913-279-0831. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower. This is Late Night in the Heartland. Jonathan was talking about Flattoberfest. Jonathan, are you part of that? I was kind of throwing around the idea of maybe going. Don't know that I will, but I'm kind of tossing the idea around because I'd like to go. And I know that Dave from deep inside the rabbit hole is going to be there on Saturday at 10 p.m. Central. I'll be with Alex Steen on his channel, Conspiracy Castle. Looking forward to that. And I'm actually going to do a mini auditing session on Alex. And it's one that I do with everybody that I work with at first, so you can get an idea of what it looks like and how that whole thing works. So that'll be Saturday night on Conspiracy Castle starting at 10 p.m. Central Time. And of course, we'll be back tomorrow night at 11 to finish up here our week of great podcast excellence on Late Night in the Heartland. I said the desert earlier today. I guess we're talking about foolishness, a lot of foolishness coming out of the desert. So it's Late Night in the Heartland. And I'll have another show tomorrow about Create Yourself with White Dianetics. But that being said, the phone line's open. It's 913-279-0831, 913-279-0831. And I encourage you to give a call. Laura's talking about stuff in outer space, things exploding, China missile collision. How do we know there is an outer space, Laura? How do we know there's an outer space? Tracy says, cool story. Yeah, how do we know? How do we know? Jonathan, I'd be coming from KC, so it's about KC area, so it's about the same thing. About the same thing. And I think it might be fun. But let's jump right back to the calls, ladies and gentlemen. This is fun, but it's kind of exhausting. It's Late Night in the Heartland.
Yeah, I know that Dave.
Thanks for holding. You're live. Please turn down your device.
Hey, Jeff. Hi, this is Dolly.
Hello, Dolly. How are you this evening?
I'm good, Jeff. So, Jeff, going back to the previous caller, you guys are discussing about truth.
Yes, ma'am.
So is there a huge distinction between a truther and someone that believes in truth?
I think there is.
Because by definition, I think online it says a conspiracy theorist.
You think? I'll say that again. I'm sorry.
Online, the dictionary version I just found out is that it's an official conspiracy exists to conceal the true explanation. Because I find the term truth to be quite sacred. And most important about truth is to know that truth can change.
So do you think that the ultimate objective truth itself is changeable?
Well, I think in life or in this lifetime that we're here to constantly search for truth, whatever that means.
I think you're right. And certainly someone that says, I have my truth, I have my beliefs, I have my convictions, and they're not subject to questioning or debate is really shutting themselves off from a world of possibility, aren't they?
Well, yeah. And when they say that, you say, yes, in this moment.
Ooh, I like that. In this moment.
No, really, right?
Yeah.
It's ever changing because how did you get to be where you are?
I mean, all I have to do is look at my life.
Exactly.
I remember when I was about 20 years old, I thought that I knew everything, but it didn't take long for me to find out that that wasn't true. And now I've made a complete change in my paradigm. I think you'll appreciate this. Now I know that the more truth that I understand how much more truth I need to understand.
And that you're even more open to even more truth,
Absolutely.
whatever that is.
Absolutely. When you discover something, especially if it's a new thing, then it should excite you to be like, oh, wow, what other new thing is there out there? Tracy makes a great point in the chat room saying, hold thoughts loosely. And I think Magenta Pixie talks about having mental elasticity where you don't have hard and fast convictions, but you have things that are like, this is what I think is true now, but I'm open to more truth showing me that I need to get a little deeper, a little higher, a little stronger, a little faster.
You know what? I feel that this might be an engram, that they've hijacked the term truth.
Oh, I like that.
You know what I mean?
I like that.
Yes. Because, remember the swastika symbol?
Yeah.
That used to be a Buddhist symbol.
Right. It's a great ancient symbol of power.
About the fourth direction. Yes, right? And that was in all the temples. And now it's been hijacked. And look at this, right? Because I found out, if you make mention of the term truth, there people get turned off, and I didn't understand what that was.
You're right. I'm going to stop using it. And a lot of people think that the swastika is kind of the symbol that is representative of the people that came from the inner earth or some other place, and they're the ones that kind of brought these original truths. And that swastika is kind of almost in a way aligned with truth itself. But yeah, we got to stop. I'm going to stop using the T word. I don't like it, and I know that I don't like it. And
no. We like the truth. We don't like the truther.
Exactly.
And truth should be a capital.
I agree.
The terms like love and grace and truth, they should be capitalized. I mean, people capitalize their names. They so-called capitalize God. Do you know what I mean? But they gave no reverence to these other sacred energies.
I like it, Dolly. That's a great point. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Okay, but I also have a question. Going back to the UK caller, and I guess his question to you was, can you plant your own engrams? Was that right?
Do we create our own engrams sometimes? Yes.
Remember, he said if you have a thought, right? Could that be another engram? Yes.
I think that we can plant our own engrams. Yes.
I think the important thing is to always try to seek the source of the engram, or to ask what is the intention.
Well, that's what Dianetic therapy does. Is it goes to the source of the engram, and by using certain techniques, we discharge it, remove it, and basically fill that gap that's in our analytical minds back with eliminate the gap. And when there's no gaps, there's no place for the reactive mind to jump up and take us offline and allow us to be acting in ways that aren't consistent with what we are analytically thinking and intending to do. It clears our intention, really. Great point.
Because if we're living a hologram, if we're being fed all these EMS, and all these technology they have, you don't know what's being programmed through the airwaves at any time.
We don't. And I'm convinced that a lot of those programming techniques are meant to drop our analytical awareness so that they can implant engrams into our reactive mind. And then they also can feed us, by knowing what they are, they can feed us the restimulators to get us right back into that place so that we can be controlled by them and even activated to do things that we wouldn't do in our own analytic consciousness. Make sense?
Okay. Yes, definitely. So one more thing.
Sure.
I try to be very respectful on your show when you said that you only want good news on the show, right?
Right. Well, I only in the chat room, I don't want people. If you call me up, it's an open floor. You can say and state and ask anything you want. I just don't want people to do it in the chat room because I find that to be cowardly. But you're live. You've called in. Let me have it.
No, like doom and gloom. You see, because as I expressed in the past, so I'm a practitioner of Chinese medicine, and so I use the analogy. If I don't provide the proper diagnosis, I'm not going to be able to provide the proper treatment for my patients. Correct?
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Right. So sometimes the diagnosis is not all good news.
Okay. I can see
Right.
that.
So what I'm saying is, well, I feel like, we're coming down to like critical, timing now. The energy is accelerating. And I just want to feel that there's a balance, because to me, it's like how we get to the root of a problem is through the proper diagnosis, because some of the energies and what's happening outside, it's not good news. They don't have good intentions. And I feel like, this platform to have the balance where people can say or feel like, what's happening, but, we're highly intelligent and resourceful individuals and entities on this platform, that we come together and we could find answers or another approach, or to be able to see things clearer and not be myopic.
Yeah,
because that's where the booby trap is.
I don't have any problem with that. My problem is, and if you want to call it myopic, then that's the descriptor that you're using. I don't necessarily accept it, but my view is that nothing is sure. Nothing is set. The future is enabled to be created by us, and what we know, and certainly what you know from all the information that you have access to, is that we create the future by our manifestation. And we can manifest a positive outlook, or we can manifest a negative outlook. And what I reject is that something is already set. Maybe it's set in someone else's world. Maybe it's set in someone else's reality. These people that believe in the Bible want to tell me, oh, prophecy is set, it's going to happen. No, maybe for you, but it's not going. That's not that way for me. It's not set, and I refuse to cede my divinity, sovereignty, and freedom, and I refuse to allow my powers of manifestation to be hijacked by somebody that believes in a dusty old book written by crusty old men and tells me it's got to end this way. No, my friend, I say nay. I reject it. I body slam it. If I was Chris Jericho, I would Judas affect it. No, not going to take it. Not going to take it. That's all I'm saying.
No, I'm in agreement. I don't trust, scriptures that's been handed down by men.
Absolutely not.
Right?
I agree.
No,
with
but I'm just saying that if we know there are forces with ill intentions, that we have to be open to the possibility.
How do we know there's forces with ill intention?
Sorry? How do we know?
How do we know there's forces with ill intention?
Well, how do we know that there's good intention? It's just hand in hand.
Not many people want to say it's hand in hand, but what if the forces of ill intention are created by you?
Created by us? Well, I have a question. So you have a home.
Okay, now we need to round this up a little bit. We got people on hold. So
okay.
Let's head for home.
Okay, you have locks on your door, correct?
I do.
Okay. So we know there's ill intention that exists.
Just because I put a lock, I mean, you're talking about a door versus a spiritual intention. And I don't think your analogy really tracks, at least in my mind. If you want to believe that bad times are coming, that's a good way to ensure that bad times are coming.
Oh, no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying we have to prepare for all possibilities.
Why?
To be a realist.
Why? I don't want to be a realist. Why do I have to? You may think you have to, but why do I have to?
Well, you did say that you felt that we were the last of humanity, the last human.
The last generation of real humans.
Right. So how do we get to that?
We don't have time to rehash all of it, but everything they've been pumping into us, everything that they've been dropping on us, all of the engrams that are being pumped into us. You know what?
Well, that's the force I'm addressing.
But why does it have to be a force?
Well, is the semantics? Is there another term that we can agree on?
I don't feel the need to give it that much power.
But then you call it engram. So I'm just in
No,
agreement
but
that
an Engram is a scientific thing, and we're going to wrap this up with this. An Engram happens when you are at least partially unconscious and you receive a painful emotion or physical pain. It shuts down your analytical mind, and because you have your analytical mind cut off, the things that are seen, said, heard, felt, experienced go straight into your reactive mind, and they leave what is called an engram. And the way to do that is to go back with your analytical mind, realize what happened, run through it, then you get rid of the gap. It's not a thing. You want a demon. There aren't any demons. They're just engrams. Thank you for calling. I appreciate it. Give a call back. You're always welcome here. It's Late Night in the Heartland. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty. Thanks for calling.
Hey, Jeffrey, how's it going, man?
It is going fantastic. We got about 14 minutes left. What do you got for me?
So I didn't listen to most of your show. I just got the end, so I tried
That's
to call
okay.
in. Did you guys talk about all the people that got purged from YouTube already?
We talked about some of the, I don't know all of them. We talked about some of the names, and it's certainly terrible that it's happened to them. It's a travesty, and it needs to be corrected.
Yeah, so that was the main thing. I was just like, yeah, fucking it's crazy. Oh, like I went to YouTube today to just try and watch a couple shows, and it's like SGT report, X22 report, fucking Dollar Vigilante. They're all gone. They're not even on my list.
Are all the people that are gone, were they all talking about Fight Club? We're not going to talk about that letter, but were they all talking about Fight Club type stuff?
No, I don't know. Like all the people I subscribe to, I don't know. It's just, yeah, I'm not sure what they're talking about. Well, I do know, but
yeah,
I just saw that they're all gone. At the end of the day, I went to work. I went to work all day. I usually come home and watch a few shows, and they're all gone. And it's like not even on my YouTube list.
It's a terrible thing.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And it is just a complete and total travesty. I hope that they, had things backed up. I hope that they will come back. And I think that if those creators can just hold on until after the election with what's being done through the Supreme Court, what's being done by the judicial department, and what will be done executively by the president. I hope they'll be back, and there won't be this atmosphere of censorship that we have now. Do you have anything else for me?
Do you have anywhere that people can like follow you if you get
Now, what I'm going to do is I'm in the process of downloading all of my videos to a hard drive, and I have my website. Worst case scenario, we'll have all the videos on my website at jeffreydaugherty.com. We are on a couple of other we're on BitChute, and we're on one other one that escapes me right now. Parler, I think it is. It's either Parler or Rumble. One of them is a Twitter, and one of them is more of a YouTube type of platform. So we'll always be there. And thank you for asking. That's a great question.
Yeah. A couple other ones, man. Library is fucking freaking awesome. And D-Live, a lot of guys that I know that got screwed or got wiped at moved to D.
Yeah, I'll look at those. I know that some of I've heard good things about those. Library, and what was the other one you said? D-Live?
Yeah, D-Live, Live, and Library.
I'll check them
pretty
out.
Cool.
Thanks so much for the call. I really appreciate it.
Okay, man.
Take care, my friend.
Okay.
Let's see if we can squeeze one more in. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty. It's Late Night in the Heartland. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty. We got just a few minutes left. What's on your mind?
Yeah, no, just gonna keep it. I wasn't gonna go into too much. I just want to keep it short and sweet. Just did a bunch of fasted cardio today.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's awesome. And got home after a rough morning, and unfortunately watched the Rays lose. I was hoping for them to win.
Did they lose again today?
Yeah, they did, unfortunately.
Okay.
But yeah, sorry for the bad news. But I did tell my friend about you. She's going through a rough time right now. She's sick right now. She had a bunch of tests done, and so she has been watching a few of your shows. I said what all the videos I've been watching and watching the call-ins and that what you've done for me so far. So she's she's going through a tough time. She's getting tests for cancer and stuff like that.
Oh, no.
So I told her about you, and I told her about C60. I told her she should look into that as well. So I'm hoping she keeps watching and stays positive. And so I just figured I'd let you know about that. And I'm always passing it along to everybody, just trying to stay positive and helping everybody else out as well.
Well, we really appreciate that. And, since the Major League Baseball has done what they've done, I purposely haven't watched the NFL because they're doing the whole BLM thing too. And what really hurt me, being, a fan of the Tampa Bay Lightning since they were, I watched 37 seconds of the Stanley Cup Finals when they actually won the cup. And I watched the last 37 seconds. And once they start taking knees, I take a hike. And I
don't blame you.
It sucks, but it's the way it is.
Yeah, they were talking about LGBTQ tonight about I was kind of not really paying attention. Like they were mentioning that a lot, like for fundraising or something like that. And I was just kind of tuning out.
Yeah. You
tonight.
have to.
So
Well, thanks for the update. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. Keep up the good work, Jeff, and I'll talk to you later.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. We'll see if we can sneak one more in. It's late night in the Heartland. You've got about 5 minutes, and we have to wrap it up. Thanks for holding. What's on your mind?
Okay, hi. It's Carlene calling from Canada again.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to say that in the late 70s, early 80s, I had a massive white light experience.
Wow.
And it told me a lot of things, such as that this is just a game, to think of it like playing Monopoly, basically. But the other thing it told me was that in the 2016 election or whatever, that the person that was going to be elected was going to be a name that was known throughout the world.
Wow.
And it then told me what was going to happen. And I've taught my kids this. So when Trump announced that he was running, my son was the first phone call. He's like, it's coming true. It's coming true. And now I just wanted to end on a good note, because what it told me is that there was going to be everyone was going to be against him. There was going to be this massive uproar in the country and everything. And that in the end, everyone was going to realize that he was true, that he was right all along. And after the election and everything, he actually ends up letting out all of the information they've been hiding from us. So the free energy and all of that kind of stuff, and basically making world peace. And he's going to step down then and let the people elect their next leader. So I just wanted to call in and say that on a good note. So everything's going to be good in the end. We just have to get through this.
That resonates so powerfully and so strongly with me. Whether the details work out a little differently, but I think you're right.
They might, but yeah, we're okay. We just need to hang on.
Yeah, and the important thing is, and I've said this a couple times, and it's something that I really want to drive home. Donald Trump has not made America great again. Donald Trump has empowered us to make America great again. And Donald Trump won't keep America great, but he will empower us to keep America great. Thank you for.
And that's what he's teaching us.
Yes, it is, isn't it? That's exactly what he's teaching us.
It's about us. We have to stand up and be who we truly are supposed to be.
And like the president says, he says they're not really after me, they're after you. And he's taking the arrows for us.
And the reason why they're taking all the YouTubers off is because they're sharing the information about Hunter Biden.
Exactly.
Anyone who's sharing that New York story, they're wiping them out.
Ooh, that is. You think that's the key? It's not the Fight Club, but it's the Hunter Biden thing.
No, it's the Hunter Biden thing. Yeah.
Ooh, that is
even the press people from Trump. Well, Trump even team, they've shut it all down.
Yeah, that's true. They shut down Kaylee.
Yeah, McEnany. Yeah,
and they even shut down the Trump campaigns.
And they're saying they'll only let them back on if they remove that post about Hunter Biden.
See, this is blatant interference in our elections. People are gonna People are going to go down. They really are. They're gonna burn.
We are, yeah.
Thank you for
Yeah,
this call.
I think
This is
so
the
too.
exact right
All right.
way
Have a
to
great
end
night.
it.
Love,
Thank you so
love
much.
and light to everyone. Bye.
And we receive it, and we call it done. Wow, ladies and gentlemen, what a night. This is our best night so far, I think, but I know it's going to get even better. If you want to feel even better, go to jeffreydaugherty.com and click on the C60 logo. It empowers you from the mitochondrial cellular level out. I don't go a day without it. It's turned our old dog who was on death's door into a puppy again. Literally, you got to get some C60 Purple Power. It's a great company run by great people. I appreciate you so much. This is Late Night in the Heartland. We've had a great, great time. Oh, what a night. Late September back in 63. I was actually alive then, just barely. What a great song that was, Tracy. Thank you for reminding me of that. We hope, ladies and gentlemen, that you will do your part to keep America great and vote 2020 for our great president. That'll come up on November 3rd. Tomorrow, look for a new installment on our Create Yourself programming. And again, tomorrow night, 11 o'clock, we will be right here. And I hope that you're here as well. Every single caller tonight was fantastic. Even those that disagreed with me, you were polite, you were interesting, and you did not poke the bear. And that's why it was such a great, great program tonight. I salute every single one of you. Thank you for being here seeking after truth. Please continue to ask questions. Please continue to question answers. We're all here to unindoctrinate ourselves because the world is going to be better than it's ever been sooner than we can imagine, because we're the last generation of real humans. And cousins, we are getting busy. It's Late Night in the Heartland, and I want to thank you for making my day. We'll see you again tomorrow night.